Can a slave ever truly understand freedom? This is about the guy who escaped a North Korean death camp and now wants to return.
Yeah, this is a documentary I watched a couple of nights ago called Camp 14 Total Control Zone. I encourage everybody to watch it. It's basically about a North Korean who was born inside a North Korean death camp. He witnessed all kinds of horrors. He was brutally tortured, punished, even witnessed the public execution of his mother and his brother.
Wow.
But because he had no innate family, he couldn't embrace even the concept of family. He said that he had no emotion whatsoever when he was watching the execution of his mother and his brother. So when he risked his life to escape many years later, when he was 23, remember he was born in the camp, they basically conducted an interview with him. He defected to South Korea. And he said that he missed life in the camp and that he wanted to return to this North Korean death camp, this torture camp, because he felt pure. He had a lack of concern. He didn't have to worry about free will. So again, as I point out in the article, it speaks to this idea of, statism in its most undiluted expression, which is the ability to induce this potent form of Stockholm syndrome, where the slave has the need to express free will or even think about free will completely eliminated. So even though he's being tortured every day, he's witnessing all these horrors, he moves to South Korea, relative freedom in comparison, and yet he wants to return to the death camp, which is why I asked in the headline, can a slave ever truly understand freedom? Because if you're born into it, then what does freedom represent to you? So I made the comparison. We've got billions of people who are content to remain imprisoned in their own self-imposed jail cells, again, going back to the fear of stepping outside their comfort zones in terms of surveillance. So you can draw a parallel between this North Korean prison inmate who wants to return to the labor camp and billions of people today who are content to remain in their own self-imprisoned delusion and never, peek outside Pandora's box.
I hear people talk all the time about the trade-off between liberty and security, and the mainstream media and the government want us to believe that there is some kind of a trade-off. But when you trade off your liberty, people without liberty are slaves. And so to the degree that you trade off your human dignity and your human freedom, you become more of a slave by that amount. And when you trade all of it off, you essentially have all of your security. You live in a maximum security. That's a prison. And so that's what this guy wants. He really wants his security. He wants to get back into a maximum security prison in North Korea. And many people want that today in America. I said this yesterday. I used to hear all the time people say, as just kind of a joke, a figure of speech, hey, it's a free country. And, say, hey, can I do this? It's a free country, do whatever. You don't hear people say that anymore. People don't think of America as being a free country, and it isn't a free country. Because one of the other things you used to hear all the time was, hey, there ought to be a law. Or, you're making a federal case out of it. They've made a federal case out of everything, and they made a law essentially about everything. But the other thing, Paul, that I think that this brings out is the danger. You said that he had absolutely no concept of family. He didn't react to the fact that he saw members of his family executed. That has been the dream of tyrants forever. It was formalized in Plato's Republic. They wanted to make sure that people didn't know who their parents were so that their only family, the only thing that they had any connection to, was the state, no matter how badly it treated them. And that's what this guy has. He's evidence of how well that works. And I feel like that's the danger when we see this massive influx of young people. And, of course, part of that is a beard to say that it's all about the youth coming across the border because Obama does classify children as people up to the age of 31 in his documents there. But, that is a danger when we see there are a massive number of children that are coming in. And I think that connection that they have, losing that connection to their family to that degree, coming into a different culture where we can't reach them to get them to understand the American traditions of liberty because of language barrier as easily or as soon, I think that's a very dangerous part of this explosion of immigration at the border.
You are watching the best of the Alex Jones Show, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. Watch live at Infowars.com/show or become a member of InfoWarsNews.com and help us take resistance to the next level.